Hey everyone, and welcome back to the History Channel. Today, we re-diving into a topic that has been making headlines and causing a lot of concern. The escalating tensions between the United States and Venezuela. The big question on everyone's mind is war inevitable? It's a heavy question, so let us break down the complex factors at play and try to understand what is really going on. For years, the relationship between Washington and Caracas has been anything but smooth. It's a long story of political disagreements, economic sanctions, and pointed accusations from both sides. To really get a grip on the current situation, we need to look back at how we got here. The roots of this conflict go deep, involving everything from oil and ideology to regional influence. The United States has long been critical of Venezuela's government, citing concerns over human rights, democratic processes, and economic mismanagement. This has led to a series of increasingly tough economic sanctions aimed at putting pressure on the Venezuelan leadership. The idea behind these sanctions is to force a change in policy, or even a change in government, without resorting to military action. From the U.S. perspective, these are necessary tools to support the Venezuelan people and restore democracy. However, from Venezuela's point of view, these sanctions are seen as an act of economic warfare. The government in Caracas blames these measures for the country's severe economic crisis, which includes hyperinflation, food and medicine shortages, and a massive humanitarian crisis that has seen millions flee the country. They argue that the U.S. is trying to destabilize their nation to control its vast oil reserves, the largest in the world. This narrative of foreign interference is a powerful rallying cry for the government and its supporters. So, where do things stand now? The rhetoric has certainly ramped up. We hear strong statements from officials on both sides. The U.S. has repeatedly stated that all options are on the table, a phrase that deliberately includes the possibility of military intervention. This keeps the pressure on, but it also raises the stakes significantly. Meanwhile, Venezuela has been strengthening its military ties with other global powers, like Russia and China, who have their own strategic interests in the region and are often at odds with the United States. This creates a tense geopolitical chessboard. The presence of Russian military advisors or Chinese financial support in Venezuela adds layers of complexity. Any potential U.S. military action wouldn't just be against Venezuela. It could risk a confrontation with these other major powers. This is a huge deterrent. Modern warfare is incredibly complex and costly, not just in terms of money and resources, but in human lives. The potential for a regional conflict that could draw in neighboring countries like Colombia or Brazil is also a serious concern for international diplomats. Let's talk about what a military conflict would actually look like. It would be devastating. Venezuela's military, while not on the same level as the U.S. armed forces, is not a pushover. They have a significant amount of modern equipment, and a conflict would likely not be a quick and easy affair. Urban warfare in cities like Caracas would be incredibly difficult and would result in catastrophic civilian casualties. The humanitarian crisis would worsen exponentially, creating a refugee situation that would dwarf the one we see today and destabilize the entire region. The cost, both in human lives and economic resources, would be staggering for everyone involved. So, is war inevitable? The short answer, and the hopeful one, is no. Despite the heated rhetoric, there are powerful forces working against a full-blown military conflict. First, as we discussed, the potential for a wider, more dangerous war is a massive deterrent. No one wants a direct confrontation between nuclear-armed powers. Second, there is a strong diplomatic push from many countries in Latin America and Europe for a peaceful, negotiated solution. Groups like the European Union and various Latin American coalitions are actively trying to mediate and find a path to dialogue. They believe that the only long-term solution is one that is decided by the Venezuelan people themselves through peaceful and democratic means. Furthermore, within the United States, there isn't a strong public or political appetite for another major military engagement. The lessons from recent conflicts in the Middle East have made both the public and many politicians wary of getting involved in what could become a long and difficult occupation. The focus, for many, is on using diplomatic and economic pressure rather than military force. The path forward is likely to remain one of intense pressure. We can expect the U.S. to continue its strategy of sanctions and diplomatic isolation. At the same time, efforts to foster dialogue and find a peaceful resolution will continue behind the scenes. The key will be to find a way to alleviate the humanitarian suffering of the Venezuelan people, while also addressing the political stalemate. This might involve conditional sanctions relief in exchange for concrete steps towards free and fair elections, or other international, monitored, democratic reforms. Ultimately, the future of Venezuela rests in the hands of the Venezuelan people. The international community's role is to support a peaceful, democratic, and sovereign resolution, not to impose one through force. While the war narrative makes for dramatic headlines, the reality is a much more nuanced and complex struggle of diplomacy, economics, and politics. The situation is incredibly fragile, and a miscalculation on either side could certainly make things worse, but a full-scale war is not a foregone conclusion. The costs are simply too high for everyone. What do you think? Is there a peaceful way out of this crisis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more deep dives into complex global issues. We'll see you in the next one.